Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn. We are continuing our conversation with Melissa Willoughby. She is a gifted writer. She has a website, a blog called The Climb to My Lighthouse. I want to encourage you to check out The Climb to My Lighthouse. We've been discussing some articles she's written recently. We dealt with on Monday one that she shared about her battle with depression, but good news is she was overcome some tough seasons with that. It was based on an article she wrote called Hope Has the Final Say. And then yesterday we talked about making room for Jesus. That was an article she wrote recently, and just talking about how we've got to make sure that we make time for Jesus because he really does want to speak to us. And she shared a really great story about a woman that did that in the Old Testament. So I would encourage you, if you missed either one of those 14-minute programs, go to our website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today. Check those out. I think you'd really be blessed. But today, our final program with Melissa, I want to talk to you about a article that you wrote recently called Real Relationships. There's a difference in a real relationship and a quote, I hate to say it's fake relationship, but a real relationship's when you spend time with people, they actually know you, you know them, and it's just not one of those kind of superficial relationships. But you really, I thought you hit the nail on the head with this recent article you wrote called Real Relationship. Do you mind sharing that with us, Melissa?
I'm both challenged and concerned at where society is heading. Technology has advanced us so far, yet it has also been the cause of a lot of issues along the way. Research and development in many areas has required our advancing technology. Still, our social lives have taken a huge hit. The last 15 years have changed so drastically. It has affected the way we apply for jobs, get to know people, develop relationships, and network. It has given us the false illusion that we can begin and develop close relationships through social media. While I believe social media can be an awesome tool of communication, my heart hurts at the thought that it has taken the place of real-life relationships in some cases. Writing is one of the ways that God has given me to express myself, but many times I have been misunderstood, mistaken, or thought to be someone I'm not. Social media can relay emotion in such distorted ways. Sometimes I feel like we are teaching the next generation how to be unsociable while using social media. It is so easy to type something completely out of character to someone you may be having a riff with online. It is so easy to get your feelings hurt when you take a comment or post the wrong way. When is the last time you really took the time to get to know someone outside of social media? Oh, it's fun to talk to people online. I know our lives are busy. Let's not pretend we know someone, but let's not pretend we know someone just by their Facebook or Twitter posts, okay? I'm a writer, but there's more to me than just that. There's way more to me than you realize. These online tools are not meant to take place of God-made relationships. They are meant to enhance and strengthen them. I've seen the enemy filtrate so much hate online, but I have also been blessed to see lives transformed as well. Keep fighting the fight of faith and remember to speak life into those around you. Make and keep your relationships strong in real life and pray for one another always. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
A lot of nuggets in that. Real relationships. It's Melissa Willoughby. She has a great blog called The Climb to My Lighthouse. And, when I read that in your archives, this is one you wrote back in November of 2017, so it's been a while. But unfortunately, I think the situation with social media and lack of real interpersonal relationships is getting significantly worse. And it's almost November, so it's been 2 years, and you and I were talking off the air that, we've got to just make time to be with people a priority, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I almost wonder sometimes if the enemy doesn't use this as a tool to rob us of these relationships that we need so much. One of our needs is to have interaction with other people, real interaction. It never takes the place, the social media never takes the place of that. It's very important for us to get to know people in a real way. not just online.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, we feel like we know people by reading them online, and a couple of my cousins have blogs that are very, very popular. Both have over 50,000 subscribers, and so, you do feel like you get to know them, but as their cousin who's known them for over almost 50 years, both of them, I know them at a lot deeper level than what I see what they write and read when I read what they write. But, we talked about this also off the air that, man, just making a priority and making time to actually go physically visit somebody at their house. I mean, that's when you really have a real relationship, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, these days, how many times do we actually get together at someone's house? Maybe, especially if they've been sick or you haven't seen them in a while. Maybe they haven't been at church, whatever, just going to that person's door and just saying, hey, I miss you. Talking to them, just carrying on a real conversation can mean the world to somebody that you actually took that time because everyone's so busy.
Well, it really does, and I think you have to prioritize, as you said, to make it happen, or next thing you know, you look up, and it's November, and you've been meaning to do it in September, then October goes by, then it's Christmas, and, we'll do it next year. So one of the things that's been kind of refreshing, I've been pastoring a church up in eastern Kentucky the past 14 months, and after church on Sunday afternoons, we'll go visiting to some of our members that haven't been there for a while to check on them. Maybe they've been ill. And always will say, hey, shouldn't we call them? They go, no, it's okay. We can just show up. And the first time I was really awkward about that because, in Lexington, you can't really do that. I mean, unless you know somebody really well, you get kind of, scared. And so we go and do that, and people have always been receptive. Yeah, come on in. And so I kind of thought, it kind of takes me back to a simpler time when you could just do that. But now, unfortunately, people have got security alarms and the dogs, and so sometimes security dogs and things. But, man, just want to ask you today, if you're listening, who is it that has been on your heart and mind that you need to make a phone call to? And I bring up the old school phone calls. I'm a lot older than you, Melissa, but one of the things I've tried to do, I think texting is great, and you can send emojis to kind of make it a little personal, but I also think, man, there's nothing like hearing the voice of somebody and calling that. And would you agree with that? I mean, I know, like I said, we've got an age difference here between us, but isn't there something that really kind of connects people when you actually hear another person's voice?
No, I do agree with that. Especially if maybe someone's calling you or you're calling them, they've been having a hard time. I mean, hearing the calmness in someone's voice can really relay a message that, hey, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You're going to make it through this. And a text is great, but I think hearing someone actually speak that could really make a huge difference.
Well, one of the things I've shared on this program a lot this year, it's been kind of a focus to me personally, Melissa, is that, Jesus could have come and saved the world by himself. And I think I saw one of your Facebook posts recently that you said something about, wow, only God would take 12 misfits and decide to change the world.
Yeah.
So to me, though, he also was modeling that we needed community. He didn't just choose a few; he chose 12. And so I think Jesus modeled that. And the best part was he didn't choose the religious scholars. I think you called it misfits in your Facebook post. He just chose normal people like us and to change the world. So I think God was modeling community by doing that.
Yeah, I do. He took time. He sat down. He taught them. And even in all their doubts, he stayed with them and taught them what they were going to do and how they were going to change the world and how he was going to go about changing the world by dying on the cross. I know they didn't understand it all, but he took the time to teach them. And then after it was all said and done, like I said, they turned the world upside down.
Yeah,
they certainly did.
They definitely did that. And then the thing that I've shared often this year also coincided with that, Melissa, is that, and then Jesus kind of had his inner circle, Peter, James, and John. He had three guys that, he did some things with. And, did he really actually need that? Probably not, but I just felt like God was like saying, hey, I want to show you that, even my son Jesus kind of had three guys that he did life a little more intimately with. And as men, we don't like the word intimate, but, at the same time, when you're intimate, somebody really knows you, both the good and the bad. And so I'm real thankful that we serve a God that his son Jesus not only just took 12, a team, but also had three. So there's no saying strengths in numbers, and I don't think we were meant to do life alone. Do you?
No, I think it's important to have people you can share your heart with. You feel safe around them enough to share your heart, and that might help them through some really hard times, or help you go through some really hard times, help you get through them by having somebody that it's safe to. I'm not just saying to go out and share it with your heart with anybody. You cannot do that. But you have to have a mentor or a couple mentors that you can share your heart with. It's very important.
Yeah, that's been a real blessing in my life. One of the things I heard Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director at the University of Kentucky, say that he said even though it led to some really late dinners like 8 o'clock, 8:30 sometimes, but because of his kids' athletic events and academic events, his job as athletic director at the University of Kentucky, no matter how late it was, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 times a week. I don't quote me on that, maybe it was 4, but that they made sure to have dinner together. They were going to get together as a family. We're going to have dinner and maybe eat a small snack. And sometimes it would have to be to meet at a restaurant to do that. They just worked that in their budget. But he said, I wanted us to be able to have face-to-face conversations, our children and us with them, and really put our phones away and just do that. And, man, with the busyness that we talked about yesterday and making room for Jesus, you got to be intentional about that family time, don't you?
You do. I think our kids, I'm wondering sometimes if they're not growing up and wondering how to actually develop a real relationship with somebody. It's scary. So I think if families do that, take the time to eat dinner together and actually discuss, how was your day? Did you have a hard time today? Did you have a good day? I think just sitting down and, like you said, being intentional and proactive and making sure we have those lines of communication open, then our kids are going to come to us when they have an issue. If not, they might be texting friends and asking them for advice, and they may not know the right advice to give them. So we need those lines of communication open within the family.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Encourage all the parents to do that. And I think, one of the things, too, is with having real relationships, I mean, we all can get lonely at times. I know married people that are lonely, I know single people that are. And yet, I think with reaching out to people, I think a phone call is great. But even if nothing else, sending a text just to say, hey, I was thinking about you. I mean, it means the world when we know somebody just simply lets us know, hey, they were thinking about us, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are, like you said, a lot of people that are just lonely. They're in a lonely season of life. So just taking that time out of your busy schedule to reach out to somebody, I think can make a world of difference.
And another thing I've heard people say sometimes when they know somebody's lost a loved one, whether it's, a spouse or a child or whatever, and sometimes it may even be tragic. They're like, man, I want to call, but I don't know what to say. And I heard a pastor say one time, he said, you don't need to worry about what you need to say. The only thing you need to do, one, is call, so that lets them know. And just two, say, hey, I was thinking about you. How are you doing? You don't have to have the answers, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but just make that effort and that contact. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, just show up. Just be there. I'm sorry is good enough. I'm sorry for what you're going through. But I'm here for you. I think that says a lot.
That's powerful. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm here for you. That's good stuff. Well, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time, but we've been talking with Melissa Willoughby. She's a gifted writer. I want to encourage you to check out her blog, The Climb to My Lighthouse. It's called The Climb to My Lighthouse. We've been talking about her articles, Real Relationships, Making Room for Jesus, and Hope Has the Final Say. So I hope you will check her out, check out those articles, and check out her blog, and share these podcasts with a friend. You can find these at hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today.
CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.